Janet Varney was now 29, but she still felt a sharp pain in her stomach as the end of the year came closer. She sipped her cold coffee and looked at her phone. There were 10 missed calls, all from her mom. Her apartment was small, but it was hers. After finishing university, she had started working as a copywriter at an ad agency. She was finally earning her own money. The job kept her busy, but she liked it. Having control of her time felt amazing, especially after living with her family for so long. As she stared at the phone, unsure if she should call back, Janet thought about past Christmases. They were supposed to be fun, but for her, they never were. While the adults laughed and drank wine, she always had to look after her younger cousins. Over time, it stopped feeling like a choice and became something everyone just expected from her, without asking how she felt. She put down her coffee, took a deep breath, and answered the phone. "You finally answered," her mom, Maria, said with a slightly annoyed tone. "I called you several times." "I was at work, Mom," Janet said. In truth, work had ended a while ago. She just didn't want to talk yet. "What are your plans for Christmas?" her mom asked. Her voice had that familiar, sneaky tone. Janet felt tired already. The usual. Planning to come home, like always. "Well, this year is going to be a little different." "What do you mean?" Janet asked, frowning. Aunt Joyce had a great idea. All the adults are going on a Cayman Islands cruise from Christmas to New Year's. Isn't that exciting? Even though her mom said all the adults, Janet could tell she wasn't included. "What about me?" she asked. "Oh, about that," Maria said, pausing. "You have a different, important job," her mom said. Janet's stomach tightened. "What job?" "Taking care of Lauren, David, and Ryan. They're too young to come on the cruise." "Wait," Janet said, shocked. "You want me to watch a 12-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 5-year-old for a whole week while everyone else relaxes on a beach and drinks cocktails?" "Don't say it like that. You get along with the kids, and you don't have Christmas plans, right? Plus, you don't have kids of your own yet. This could be good experience." Janet felt a wave of anger. "Mom, I have my own life. I made plans with friends, and I also have work to do. But it's for the family. And the cruise tickets are already paid for. They can't be changed." Janet tried to stay calm and not hang up. "When were you planning to ask me? Or did you just assume I'd say yes?" "Of course, I thought you'd say yes. You've always been the good one, always helping the family." "I'm not a kid anymore, Mom," Janet said in a calm voice. "I can decide how I spend my time. And I'm saying no." There was silence on the line. "Janet, don't just think about yourself. This is supposed to be a special vacation for the whole family." "Except me," Janet replied sharply. "You're calling me selfish, but you made these plans without asking me and just expected me to give up my week. That's selfish." "That's enough," her mom snapped. "I'll get your father to call. He'll talk some sense into you." Before the call ended, Janet said firmly, "If you expect me to babysit, I'm not coming home for Christmas." She wasn't sure if her mom even heard her. That night, Janet felt restless in her apartment. Her phone rang again, and again calls from her parents. She ignored them and sent every call to voicemail. There was also a short text from her Uncle Paul. "Janet, won't you think about the family?" She rolled her eyes. In her family, thinking about the family always meant giving up her own needs to make everyone else happy. Sitting on the couch, she called her friend Emma. "They're trying to make you babysit again?" Emma asked right away. "This time it's different," Janet said. "I told them no. I don't have to go along with everything they decide." "Good for you," Emma said. "You've always done too much for them. You deserve to have your own time." Janet sighed. "My dad won't stop calling." "Don't pick up," Emma said. "You've already made your decision. They're just trying to change your mind." "Thank you," Janet said, feeling a little better. "I'm not wrong, right?" Janet asked. "Definitely not," Emma replied. "You're an adult. You have the right to make your own choices, and people should respect that." After hanging up, Janet bravely answered a call from her dad. "Dad, my answer is still no," she said right away. "Janet," her father said calmly, "we just want you to care about the family." "You think I don't care?" You're the ones ignoring my plans and my time. Okay, her dad replied. Let's spend this year apart then. But could you come just for Christmas morning? The kids really want to see you. Janet wasn't sure, but the request sounded fair. All right, she said. I'll come for Christmas morning, but only that. And please, stop asking me to babysit. I promise. Thank you, Janet. After the call, Janet felt a little uneasy. Her dad had agreed too quickly. It didn't feel normal. Still, she was glad she had spoken up and set clear boundaries. Over the next few weeks, Janet barely heard from her family. Just a few short texts. No one mentioned babysitting again. She felt relieved, but a small part of her stayed suspicious. On Christmas Eve, before going to bed, she sent a message to her parents. I'll be there around 12 tomorrow morning. Merry Christmas. The reply came quickly from her mom. Understood, Janet. Looking forward to seeing you. Janet smiled. Her relationship with her family had been messy for a long time, but she hoped this Christmas could be peaceful. She wanted to reconnect, but only on her own terms. The next morning, Janet woke up early. She wrapped the gifts with care and placed them in her car. She had picked each one with love: a set of books for Lauren, a Lego set for David, and a stuffed animal for little Ryan. As she drove, Christmas music played on the radio. She hummed along, feeling calm. It'll be a nice visit, she thought. Say hello, give the gifts, and then head home to enjoy my day. But when she pulled up to her parents' house, something didn't feel right. There were no cars in the driveway, not her parents', not Aunt Joyce's, not Uncle Paul's. The lights were on, but the house didn't have its usual holiday energy. Janet frowned, holding the presents as she walked to the door.
The doorbell rang.
Small footsteps ran toward it. Lauren opened the door with a big smile. Janet, you came? Of course I did, Janet said, hugging her. Merry Christmas, Lauren. But where is everyone? Oh, they left, Lauren said cheerfully. Mom, Dad, and the others went on a trip. Janet's heart sank. You were going to take care of us, right? Janet stood frozen in place. What did you say? Janet asked, stunned. David and Ryan ran up and hugged her. Did you bring presents? Janet forced a smile. Inside, she was shaking with anger. Yes, of course. Let's take them to the living room first. As she walked the kids in, she looked around. The house was nicely decorated. There were presents under the Christmas tree, and breakfast leftovers still sat on the table. Then she saw a note. While the kids excitedly opened their gifts, Janet picked it up and read. To Janet. We left on the 10 a.m. flight. We made breakfast for the kids. There's a week's worth of meals in the fridge. Please follow the instructions. Emergency contact numbers are also on the fridge. Put Ryan to bed by 8 p.m. Lauren and David should go to bed at 9:30 p.m.
Love, Mom.
Janet stared at the note. Her parents had ignored her no and tricked her into babysitting. The kids were laughing and cheering, happy with their presents. Janet knew this wasn't their fault. Her anger was for the adults, her parents and her aunt and uncle. I need to make a quick call, okay? I'll be right back, she told them. She went into the kitchen and called her mom's cell. After a few rings, her mom picked up. Oh, Janet. You made it. How are the kids? What were you thinking? Janet snapped. How could you do this after I clearly said no? Calm down, Maria said in a soft voice. We knew you'd show up. You're responsible. I'm not your babysitter, Janet said sharply. I said I'd come for Christmas morning. I never agreed to stay a whole week. But you're already there, her mom replied. You can't leave now. The kids are counting on you. This is child neglect, Janet said coldly. Do you know what would happen if I called the police? There was a gasp on the other end. You wouldn't, would you? Try me, Janet said. If you're not back soon, my next call will be to the police. Wait, Maria said, panicking. We're still at the airport. The flight hasn't left yet. Then cancel it and come back. I'm staying here for 1 more hour. If you're not back by then, I'm taking the kids to the police station. Janet, please. 1 hour, Janet said again and hung up. Her heart was racing. She walked back into the living room, trying to stay calm. "Hey everyone," she said with a smile. "Your parents will be back soon. Let's have some fun while we wait." The kids cheered. Janet played board games with them, read Christmas stories, and shared some cookies. She kept her anger hidden from them. 65 minutes had passed since she gave her warning. Janet was thinking about whether she really needed to call the police. But in the end, it wasn't necessary. 60 minutes later, she heard cars pulling up outside. Looking out the window, she saw her parents' car, along with Aunt Joyce's and Uncle Paul's. "Look, everyone's back," the kids shouted and ran to the door. Janet picked up her bag and stood silently as the children happily greeted the adults. "Janet," her mom, Maria, said as she walked toward her. "I don't need an explanation," Janet said firmly. "I'm leaving." "But it's Christmas," Maria begged. "Can't we spend it together as a family?" "Family?" Janet shook her head. "Now I see how you really see me, just someone you can use when it's convenient. Don't ever treat me like that again." She turned to the kids. "Goodbye," she said gently, then walked quietly out the back door. Before getting in her car, she paused. From inside, she could hear loud voices. Her dad, Brian, was yelling at Maria and Joyce. Janet took a deep breath and drove away. Her heart was full of anger and sadness, but also something new, freedom. She had finally stood up for herself. The next morning, Janet stayed home in her apartment. It was quiet. She answered messages from her friends, but ignored all messages from her family. After everything that happened, she needed space. Later in the afternoon, while scrolling through Twitter, she saw something that made her blood boil. Her mother had posted, "It was a sad Christmas. It hurts when someone doesn't care about their own family. The kids were disappointed, and everything we planned was ruined. I never thought our family bond could be so weak." There were many comments under the post. "What a shame, Maria. The younger generation has no responsibility. Some people don't even think of the children. Family should come first. It's sad when others don't see that." Janet's hands shook. Her mom hadn't used her name, but everyone could tell the post was about her, and it completely twisted the truth. Furious, Janet took screenshots. Then, she opened her own Twitter page and began to type. "It's time to tell the truth. Yesterday, I visited my family home for Christmas. But when I arrived, my parents, aunt, and uncle had already left for vacation, without telling me. They expected me to take care of 3 kids for a whole week, even though I had clearly said no. When I found out, I threatened to report them for child neglect. Only then did they come back. Now I'm being blamed for not caring about my family. But the truth is, they don't respect my time or my choices. I'm not their toy or a free babysitter they can use whenever they want," Janet wrote. "Family should be about respect. It's not real family if it's all about demands and guilt." She knew posting this might seriously hurt her relationship with her family, but she felt like she had to be honest. With shaking hands, she hit post. The reactions came quickly. Her friend Emma was the first to comment. "You did the right thing." Then more messages of support came from her friends. To Janet's surprise, some family members replied too. The first message came from her grandfather, Jacob. "Janet, can you call me? We need to talk." Then her grandmother, Christina, commented publicly. "Maria, Brian, Joyce, Paul, I'm disappointed in all of you. You owe Janet an apology." Knowing her grandparents were on her side gave Janet some comfort. She called her grandfather right away. "Janet," he said kindly, "that must have been really hard." "Yes, Grandpa. It was awful. I spoke to Maria. What she did and what Brian, Joyce, and Paul did was wrong. But now everyone's blaming me," Janet said. "Like I'm the bad one." "They're wrong," her grandfather said firmly. "You were just standing up for yourself. And what they did wasn't fair to the children either." "I don't know what to do now. Keep some distance for now," he advised. "They need time to think. Your grandma, and I will talk to them." Janet thanked him and ended the call. She felt a little better, but her peace didn't last long. That night, her social media filled with angry comments from her family. Her mom, Maria, said she was wrong for sharing private family matters online. Her dad, Brian, told her to grow up. Joyce and Paul said she had betrayed the family. Then more comments came in, cousins, aunts, and uncles blaming her. At the same time, something unexpected happened. Janet's post began to spread far beyond her own page. Friends of friends shared it. Strangers commented, saying they had gone through the same thing. Just because they're family doesn't mean you have to accept being treated badly. You did the right thing standing up for yourself. The support poured in. Her phone buzzed nonstop with messages, likes, and shares. Finally, overwhelmed, she turned off her phone and went to sleep. The next morning, she was woken by a call from Emma. "Janet, your post has gone viral. People are sharing it everywhere. Some blogs have even written about it." "What?" Janet rubbed her eyes and quickly turned on her phone. Notifications flooded in. Her post had been shared thousands of times. People from all over were leaving comments, telling their own stories about setting boundaries with family. Some news websites had picked up the story, writing about toxic family expectations and the importance of respecting personal boundaries. Janet had never planned for any of this to happen. She had only wanted to speak her truth. But now, her story had spread far beyond what she ever imagined, and she wasn't sure what would come next. "I didn't plan for this to happen," Janet said. "But a lot of people understand you," Emma replied. "What you went through is something many people have been quietly dealing with for years." That afternoon, something surprising happened. Janet's mother, Maria, made a new post online. "I want to clear things up. My last post was emotional. My husband, my brother-in-law, and I expected too much from our daughter, Janet. We didn't respect her wishes and tried to treat her like a free babysitter. Her reaction was completely fair. I'm truly sorry." Janet stared at the post in shock. Her mother apologizing publicly? That was something she never thought she'd see. Soon, she got a text from her grandfather. "I spoke with Maria. Their behavior was shameful. Your parents, Aunt Joyce, and Uncle Paul have all agreed to apologize publicly. But honestly, I don't think that's enough. They've taken advantage of you for a long time. We should consider taking legal action." Janet paused. Legal action? That felt like too much at first. But later that night, she checked her email, and everything changed. It was from her father. "Janet, we have apologized publicly. But you also need to think about your behavior. Threatening to call the police for child neglect was too extreme. We only wanted you to watch the kids for a few days. Your reaction has embarrassed the whole family. Because of this, you're no longer welcome at family gatherings." Dad. After reading the email, Janet felt a wave of rage. The apology had been fake. They were still blaming her, and now they were trying to shut her out completely. She called her grandfather right away. "Grandpa, Dad just sent me this email." Her grandfather was furious. "That's completely unacceptable. They've learned nothing. Janet, I think it's time you spoke to a lawyer. This is turning into harassment." Feeling supported, Janet made an appointment with a family lawyer the next day. The lawyer, Laura Morano, listened carefully as Janet told her everything. "Miss Varney," she said seriously, "this isn't just a simple family argument. What your parents, aunt, and uncle did could be seen as psychological harassment. And the things they posted about you online might even be considered defamation, possibly even libel." "Can I really sue them?" Janet asked. "Let's start by sending a warning letter," the lawyer said. "We'll let them know that if they don't stop the harassment, we'll take legal action." Janet agreed. The lawyer then sent a formal warning to her parents, Aunt Joyce and Uncle Paul. But instead of stopping, things got worse. Maria posted online that Janet was an ungrateful daughter trying to sue her own family. Brian called Janet emotionally unstable and said she was making everything up. Joyce and Paul also joined in, saying Janet just wanted attention and had completely lied about the situation. That was the final straw for Janet. She went back to her lawyer and decided to file a lawsuit for defamation and emotional distress. "Miss Varney, I know this isn't an easy choice," said attorney Laura Morano gently, "but it's necessary to protect you." When the lawsuit was officially filed, Janet felt a mix of emotions. She still loved her family, but what they had done couldn't be ignored. This wasn't just one bad moment. It was part of a long pattern of using her and not respecting her boundaries. Her grandparents fully supported her. They even offered to speak in court on her behalf. Lauren, David, and Ryan were still too young to understand everything, but Janet stayed in touch with them.
She wanted them to know she still cared.
The legal case took months. During that time, her family completely fell apart. Her parents, Aunt Joyce, and Uncle Paul stopped all contact. Other family members took sides. Many stood by her parents for the sake of family unity, but a few cousins and her grandparents supported Janet. The trial moved faster than expected. Janet's lawyer explained everything clearly: the pattern of mistreatment, the Christmas situation, and the social media attacks afterward. The strongest part of the case was the testimony from her grandparents, who spoke about how Janet had always been treated unfairly in the family. But the most powerful evidence was the screenshots, social media posts from Maria, Brian, Joyce, and Paul, plus the cruel messages they had sent to Janet. It clearly showed a pattern of harassment. In the end, the judge agreed with Janet. He gave her a restraining order against her parents and her aunt and uncle. They were also ordered to pay her for the emotional harm they caused and for spreading lies online. On top of that, the judge ordered them to take down the false posts and write a public apology. The actions of Maria Varney, Brian Varney, Joyce Mitchell, and Paul Mitchell clearly show harassment and caused serious emotional harm to Janet Varney, the judge said firmly. Family should be built on mutual respect. The behavior of the defendants broke that important rule. As Janet walked out of the courtroom, her emotions were all over the place. She had won. She stood up for herself and protected her boundaries. But she also felt sadness. She might have lost part of her family forever. "You did the right thing," her grandfather said, hugging her gently. "Time might heal some things, but never forget, you have the right to protect your worth and your dignity." A few weeks after the court ruling, the lives of Janet's parents and her aunt and uncle changed completely. News of the trial had spread in the media, and their reputations were badly hurt. Brian lost the trust of his coworkers and had to retire early from the company where he had worked for 37 years. Maria was asked to leave her position in the PDA and lost her standing in the local community. The couple became isolated and no longer lived the comfortable life they once had. Joyce and Paul, who owned a small shop, also suffered. Their reputation took a hit, and their regular customers stopped coming. Business dropped so badly that within 7 months, they had to close the store. They couldn't keep up with their bills and ended up moving into a smaller apartment in the suburbs. Janet kept in touch only with her grandparents and the children. She had no contact at all with her parents or her aunt and uncle. When Lauren turned 19, she moved out of her parents' house and went to live with Janet. Over time, David and Ryan also grew distant from their parents. Since Janet's departure, they had mostly been left with hired babysitters. 12 years later, Janet had built a new life. She had a successful career and was surrounded by people who truly cared about her, her husband, her daughter, and close friends she chose herself. She had finally found peace and freedom after stepping away from the family that once treated her like she didn't matter. Sometimes, the pain of the past would still come back. But whenever it did, she reminded herself, "I have no space in my life for people who treated me like a tool." She once said this to her therapist. "It might sound cold," she added, "but I had to protect myself." The wounds her family left behind never fully healed, but Janet walked forward with strength and pride. The downfall of her parents, Joyce and Paul, stood as a strong reminder. Those who use and mistreat others will one day face the consequences.